Hello everyone. In this video, I want to talk a little bit more about functions, but more in particular, I want to spend this video talking about 3 ways to model a function, and that is by rules, tables, and graphs. So what do I mean by all of this? Function rules will show us how the variables are related. How does x relate to y? The table identifies specific input and output values of the function, and then the graph will give a visual picture of the function. And the reason why I'm mentioning all of this is because we're going to put all 3 of these together and then use it to work out a problem at the very end of the video. So I briefly kind of touched on this in an earlier video where I talked about how one of the variables depends on the other variable. So I talked about inputs and outputs. We input a value to our function with whatever rule it may be, and then we get an output. What goes in? A value. Comes out another value. The inputs are values of the independent variable. And then the outputs are the corresponding values of the dependent variable. So what we're going to do is we're going to graph the independent variable on the horizontal axis, and then we're going to graph the dependent variable on the vertical axis. We're going to use the input and output values as ordered pairs to plot points, and then we're going to join those points with a line to help give us a general picture of what a function looks like. So in short, the independent variable is x, and the dependent variable is y. Y depends on whatever x is. And again, these are all just going to be random values. Let's take a look at putting all this together. So here we have our function rule. It is y equals 2 times x, or y equals 2x. Here we input any 3 random values for x. So here I'm going to just pick 3 random numbers. I'm going to do one negative value. I'll put 0 in there too. And I'll put in a positive value. Let's skip a little bit and let's just put in 2. Why not? Here this rule says y is going to be equal to 2 times whatever x is. Because remember, y depends on whatever x is. So here we're going to have 2 times negative 1. Here we're going to have 2 times 0. And then here we're going to have 2 times 2. Here is the general coordinate point that we're going to get based off of that calculation. 2 times negative 1, that's negative 2. 2 times 0, and then 2 times 2. That takes care of whatever y is. The first value of those coordinates are whatever we put in for x. Respectfully, that's negative 1, 0, and 2. So that takes care of modeling our function based off of its rule and then putting it in a table. And then visually, we're going to see it right over here with our graph. We're going to plot those 3 points. Specifically, that was negative 1, negative 2, which is right here. And then the origin, 0, 0, and then 2, 4. If I plugged in 1, that would have been the point 1, 2. So I'll just go ahead and put that in here too. You need 2 points to make a line. Here I plugged in 4, so we can kind of get a general picture as to how this graph looks. And again, we plot the points, we connect them all with that straight line. Kind of missed there on that. Let me fix that for you. So generally here, we have the full idea visually what this graph looks like for the graph of y equals 2x. These are the three ways that we can model a function based off of a rule, a table, and then visually, graphically how it looks. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you later.